Imagine leaving your front door wide open, posting a sign that says free money, and then promoting the security guard who watched the robbers clean out your house.
I mean, that is exactly what is happening in Minnesota right now.
Welcome to today's deep dive. We're unpacking a massive breaking story that just dropped yesterday. Governor Tim Walz has permanently appointed Shireen Gandhi as the Commissioner of the Department of Human Services.
Right, the DHS. And this is a huge deal because she was the temporary commissioner. Now she is officially in charge.
But the timing is it's unbelievable. This appointment comes immediately after a bombshell legislative audit. It revealed massive internal control failures under her watch.
Yeah, the oversight was practically zero. And it's not just the state looking into this. Just weeks ago, House Oversight Chairman James Comer widened a federal investigation into this exact department.
Citing an estimated $9 billion in stolen taxpayer funds.
$9 billion.
It's a staggering number. This isn't just, bad bookkeeping. We're talking about money laundering, kickbacks, and allegations of funds potentially flowing to overseas terrorist networks.
Exactly.
So our mission today is to figure out how a state government lost billions, why the people in charge are getting promoted instead of fired, and what this actually says about accountability in our government.
It's basically a masterclass in failing up. But to really grasp how crazy this promotion is, you have to look at how you even lose $9 billion.
Right. If I forget a $20 expense, the IRS knows, how does $9 billion just walk away?
It walks away when you stop checking if the services you are paying for actually exist.
Uh-huh.
So one of the biggest frauds they found was in autism services.
Okay, money meant for kids with autism.
Early intervention stuff, yeah. An outside company called Optum did an audit. They looked at the claims coming from these autism centers.
And what did they find?
They flagged over 90% of the claims.
Wait, 90%?
Over 90%. They flagged them because they didn't match state policies at all. Almost every single bill the state got was suspicious.
That is, the whole system was just compromised.
Totally rotten. Providers were billing for more hours than exist in a day, or they did group therapy but billed it as individual therapy to get paid more.
Upcoding.
Exactly. And the state just kept paying.
Which obviously attracts scammers.
Oh, absolutely. The audit showed the number of providers just exploded. In 5 years, autism service providers in Minnesota went from 41 to 328.
An 800% jump. The number of kids with autism didn't jump 800%.
No, they didn't. But the DHS had this really loose policy language. It was an open door. The audit said if the state had just followed basic rules, they could have saved $703 million.
$700 million.
Just in autism services.
That is just one piece of this. There's another story in the audit that is it's wild. It's the ghost work case.
Oh, yeah. The $680,000 check.
Right. A grantee gets nearly $680,000 from the state for a single month of work.
And provided zero documentation.
Nothing.
No timesheets, no invoices. The state just cut a massive check for literally nothing.
But a human has to sign off on that.
They do. A DHS grant manager approved that payment. And then, just days later, that same manager quit their government job.
And went to work for the grantee.
You guessed it. They went straight to work for the exact same person they just gave $680,000 to.
That is incredibly bold. You approve a massive payout, then you go get a job with the guy you just paid. It shows they weren't even scared of getting caught.
Because there were no basic checks. Lawmakers found companies billing the state that didn't even have phone numbers.
Or websites. How do you run a healthcare company with no phone?
You don't need a phone if you don't actually see patients. You just need a billing number. Take the case of Asha Farhan Hassan. She ran the Smart Therapy Center.
Right, she billed the state $31.8 million.
Exactly. And she wasn't approved for anywhere near that much. But the automated systems at DHS just kept paying her claims anyway.
She eventually pleaded guilty to wire fraud, but the money's already gone.
Which is the whole problem with this pay-and-chase method. But look, it gets darker than just fake paperwork. This fraud actually preyed on vulnerable people.
The kickback culture.
Yes. These sham providers were literally going out onto the street to find homeless people.
To use them as props.
Pretty much. They would approach a homeless person, offer them $50 cash in hand just to sign a form.
And that signature lets the provider bill the state for thousands of dollars in housing or addiction services, while the person stays on the street.
They get $50 and stay homeless. The provider gets rich.
Someone had to see this happening.
They did. A Hennepin County social worker named Susanna King explicitly warned the DHS. She emailed them saying clients were being promised housing for signatures and getting cash instead.
A direct warning from a government employee.
And the department ignored it. They did nothing to stop it at the time.
They ignored it, which leads right into the cover-up. Because when the auditors finally show up, you have to explain where the $9 billion went.
Right. And the legislative auditor used very specific, very strong language here. They said the agency fabricated documents to mislead auditors.
Fabricated documents, so they forged them.
Yes. When the auditors asked for proof that they checked on the money, the DHS effectively created a fake paper trail.
That is active deception. So how does the leadership handle this? Does Commissioner Gandhi take responsibility?
Not at all. Under her leadership, the DHS launched a fact-check website.
A fact-check website to argue with the auditors.
To deny the narrative. They used it to claim the scandal was just targeted misinformation. They literally argued that Minnesota didn't have a uniquely bad fraud problem.
$9 billion missing, and they hired PR people to say it's just misinformation.
They tried to normalize the losses, and if you tried to speak up against this inside the government, you were a target.
State lawmakers accused Governor Walz and Attorney General Keith Ellison of retaliation, right?
Yes. The accusations say they retaliated against the whistleblowers. The people trying to stop the theft got punished, and the people running the agency kept their jobs.
And lawmakers were kept in the dark, too. The audit reports they got were heavily redacted.
Massive blackouts in the text.
But you can't black out the federal government. House Oversight Chairman James Comer is treating this as a national security issue now.
Because he is following the money. Testimony showed a lot of these schemes were concentrated in specific communities. The Somali community was heavily mentioned in the hearings.
And where is that money going?
The investigation points to funds potentially being diverted to terrorist networks overseas.
American taxpayer dollars meant for autistic kids and homeless people in Minnesota, funding terror groups.
That is what Comer is investigating. He demanded suspicious activity reports from the U.S. Treasury.
SARS. Banks file those when there is suspected money laundering.
Exactly. For state agency vendors to be generating SARS is a massive red flag. This is a federal crime issue now.
Yet back in Minnesota, the political machine rewards the failure. Commissioner Gandhi just got the permanent job.
Representative Harry Niska called it failure rewarded. And he is right. Billions stolen, faked documents, ignored warnings, and nobody has been fired.
Zero firings.
Zero. If you lost $9 billion in the private sector, you would be in federal prison. Here, you get a promotion.
And the legislature is quietly making sure they have even less oversight moving forward.
The 2027 rule change. Democrat leadership changed the confirmation rules. Starting 2027, if the Senate doesn't vote on a commissioner within 60 days, they are automatically confirmed.
So if the Senate just runs out the clock, the governor's pick gets the job by default.
It completely flips the process. You are in unless they vote you out fast enough. It guts the public vetting process.
They looked at a $9 billion disaster and decided they needed less accountability.
That is exactly what happened.
So let's pull this all together. $9 billion stolen. Basic checks ignored. Documents fabricated to lie to auditors. Warnings tossed in the trash. And Shireen Gandhi gets a permanent promotion from Governor Walz.
And gets praised for her leadership.
Now, if you live in Texas or Florida, you might be asking why you should care about Minnesota's problem.
Because it is federal Medicaid money. That is your tax money. It is pooled from every American to help the needy, and it is being siphoned off by criminals.
We are all funding this heist.
And it destroys trust. If a state is letting billions flow to fraudsters and potentially overseas enemies, it proves the government cannot manage these massive programs.
Too big to manage. Here is a thought to leave you with today. If a state agency can lose billions, get caught faking documents to cover it up, and then turn around and promote the person in charge, do we actually have a functioning government? Or do we just have a really expensive broken ATM that hands out cash to anyone with the cheat code?
Right now, that ATM is wide open, and the security guard just got a raise.
That is it for today's deep dive. Check your own state's audits. You might not like what you find.